But along those lines of people coming into Canada, you also mentioned that we have a record-breaking number of applications coming to Canada. And in fact, last week, the Prime Minister himself visited Winnipeg and emphasized the importance of immigration to Canada's economic development. But also in October of last year, there was a report that came out that shows that the rate of immigrants leaving Canada has been increasing slowly for decades. And in fact, according to that report, it has surged in 2017 and 2019. So what steps are being taken by the federal government to address this so-called onward migration? Is this significant enough, Mr. Minister?
Any data is important for me to see. Some of the longer linear studies have covered a period of 40 years leading up, as you said, to 2017. So they've dealt largely with governments that were not the Trudeau government. I have no reason to believe that has changed, and that's not an excuse. But that's just the study that was done over 40 years. It deserves some nuance. What these studies, I think, measure, and we don't control or calculate or have a fixed data point of people that have actually left Canada. We do a bit of guessing insofar as we look at people that haven't filed their taxes for the last 2 years and assume that they've left Canada. So it's not a perfect, it's not a perfect traceable situation, but you can see trends through that. And what you see in some areas, particularly in immigration of an economic nature where we are competitive with other countries. For example, people will say, well, they'll come to Canada, maybe get $80,000, but they see that they can get $100,000 in the US, they then leave. So what we see in the highly skilled, highly mobile category is people that have a choice of where they go as a permanent resident or if they become a citizen. I'm not a great example, but I did actually start my legal career in New York City and then left and went to Stockholm and then came back to Canada. That happens too, right? So what we want to avoid is this sort of undue brain drain where we put a lot of expense and capital into getting the best and brightest, and then they don't necessarily get the experience that they have in Canada and then leave. Largely it is, although we see a trend increasing within that highly mobile category, and that is a global phenomenon with other countries, people do move around. You obviously want to offer the best experience for Canadians when they decide to choose Canada as their country. And so that concern is not one that I would dismiss, but it is in that context where we do see global movement of capital and people, and Canada is a highly prized destination. On the other side of things, again, as you said, unprecedented volume. There has never been a higher interest in coming to Canada. So that's good, but we have to avoid sort of the back end of things where people sometimes could get disappointed with what they expected and choose another destination. But often it's for reasons that that don't have to do necessarily with the national identity or the experience of the country. They just see a better opportunity elsewhere.
And I really appreciate all your responses, Mr. Minister, because I hope that they're informative for Barangay Canada viewers. Now, just to wrap up, because I know you're going to be busy here in Winnipeg, do you have any message that you would like to share to, of course, the international students who have been affected by all these policy announcements, or to newcomers in general, or to those who are working in the newcomer serving sector? Go ahead, sir.
Well, I got to meet some really bright kids in the Student Association at University of Manitoba yesterday. They're cautiously happy with the changes because they live that experience of an international student. They don't want to see themselves discriminated against. They want to have the best experience of being in one of the best education systems in the world and want that integrity preserved. So we're working for you. We obviously work for Canadians. And when it comes to the Filipino community, with 1 million people in Canada, this is something that I think is really near and dear to their hearts. Good working conditions, the opportunity to live, thrive, and prosper in what is your country, and the ability to make Canada a better country. So I wish you all the best, and always, as a minister, I work for the people, and I have to hear it from you, whether it's good, bad, or anywhere in between. So I appreciate being on this show, Chris.
So that was the Minister of Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship, the Honorable Marc Miller. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for coming by the program.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.